Hello again guys, and welcome to another art tutorial video on how to draw a water drop. This was requested of me amongst other things, and it's taken me a while to get to it, but I've done it now. And I've just realised how much crayon dust is on my desk which I need to fix, so I do apologise for that. But I'm just going to run through the pencils that I use quickly in groups, so greys, blues, greens. And you can pause the screen on the different colours so you can match them to any other brand that you're using. As you know, I use different light fast, so if you're using polys or luminance pencils, you should be able to find the right equivalent to start this tutorial. Also, I will write every single pencil that I used in this tutorial in the description, with a brief memo on where I used it and how I used it. There's also an Instagram link in there where I do post progressions of my artwork, so if you want to jump over there and take a look, that would be great. Anyway, let's get stuck in. Okay then, I've started off drawing with a HB pencil, but if you're doing it, you'd be better off using a 2H pencil because there's less chance of it interfering with your colour pencil when you eventually start shading. I've used a 2B for your benefit so you can see exactly what I'm doing. And as you can see, it's going to be a water drop dripping off the end of a leaf. Like most of my little mini tutorials on this channel, I've tackled the background first, and I've gone for this black to grey theme. It's not really paramount to draw in a water drop, because like on my how to draw neon light or how to draw a flame, your darks don't make your lights in this situation, because a water drop is not emitting its own light source, it's just reflecting light source around it. So as long as you stick to your reference photo and imitate them reflections properly, it'll look like a water drop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out the shading of this background as much as I can, because it's the boring part and it's just blending two colours together, and get you to the good stuff, which is when I start to shade in the water drop. I've started out by mapping out where certain reflections are going to be, and I've done this with a pencil called Mid Blue, but it doesn't really matter, you can use a graphite pencil. I've done this for my own personal reference so that I don't have to worry about where I need to draw certain things, because I can just look at my reference photo and go, right, this is where the leaf needs to be, this is where that weird blue reflection is, blah blah blah. It just makes your life easier. I've started off at the bottom of the water drop, where it's this nice sea blue colour, and I've used light aqua and that mid blue that I marked the reflection lines down with, blended them together, and then I've gone in with the ballpoint pen rubber and rubbed them out a bit. On the left hand side of this water drop, it's reflecting some leaves, which are basically the same colour as the leaf that it's hanging from. So to shade this part in, I used the same colours, which was green grass, and I used pine for the shadows. But because it's being reflected by the water drop, the colours get dumbed down within the water drop. So to create this effect, I used another colour called foliage, blended over the top of them two colours, and it dumbed it down a bit. It's a bit of an olivey type colour. I also used a colour called light aqua, which I just previously mentioned, to create some subtle highlights within the reflection of them leaves. The reason why I say subtle is because I don't want them brighter than the bright white reflections. And I should have mentioned this earlier. If there's any part of your water drop, which there will be, which is bright white, you need to leave that as the paper. Don't shade it in, just leave it as the paper. And any other reflection within the water drop that isn't as powerful as that paper, the bright white paper, needs to be a dumbed down reflection. It's all about the values. But if you have done this and you don't think your highlights are powerful enough, don't worry about it. You can use a craft knife to scrape away the colour pencil to bring the paper back from underneath. But be very very careful, because if you go too deep you will ruin the paper. It takes a lot of practice. I have used the craft knife on this, and you can see it right now. Where the two leaves are, you can see little specks of white, and all I've done is lightly scraped with the craft knife and it's given me a highlight. They're very useful tools to have, and I probably use my craft knife in every single portrait or tutorial that I've ever done. Also, I noticed as I was scanning through reference photos trying to find the right one for me to draw, is that all the colours that's been reflected by the water drop are detailed but have a really soft edge to them. So they're not super sharp, but they've got detail with a soft edge, and they tend to be bordered by a line of black. As you can see on there, I've gone from the green leaf into this nice midnight blue colour, and there's a layer of black in between, and that tends to be constant through every water drop that I found. The bluish colour in the middle is obviously being reflected by a lake or something, but I had no way to tell because the reference photo didn't let me see that much. But I created it by using a colour called Midnight Blue, like I previously mentioned, and another colour called Cloud Grey, and they were blended on top of each other. Then I used a colour called Midnight Black to create a darker value, give it a bit of shadow, also give it a bit of depth before I move on to the bottom section, which I used a colour called Warm Grey, which is a bit of a sandy colour, like a sandy grey, to transition that light blue that I mentioned at the beginning into this kind of like mishmash of colour of foliage and blue. It's reflecting all at the centre of the water drop. To blend all this mishmash of colour together, I used a pencil called a Colorless Blender, and it's basically just the binding that's inside coloured pencil without the pigment. I've done this because I didn't want to use a white or the blues that I've been using or the greens that I've been using, because that would manipulate the colours that are underneath and change their colour, and I don't want to do that because I like the colour that I've already got. So a Colorless Blender will help you to blend different types of colour together without really affecting your artwork too much. They're a great tool to have. You can get them for about £3 for 2 pencils, so they're relatively cheap, and they don't really come in the box with the Derwent Lightfast, which I think they should do. So I brought some from Derwent, but you can buy them from multiple companies that do the same thing. You may have also noticed that I used my craft knife in the middle of the water drop as well, mainly situated on the right hand side where you can see some harsh highlights up against them light blues and funny shapes. So it saved me on that one because I blended them out. I should also give a shout out to my ballpoint pen rubber, because it's a great tool to have if you want to rub out coloured pencil and also blend in a nice transition. That's the water drop finished then, guys, and I'm actually using daylight to show it off in all its glory at the minute. I hope you like it, I hope it helped. If it did, please leave me a comment. Also, you can like and subscribe, and if you're interested you can jump in the description and check out my progressions on Instagram. Thank you very much for watching.